This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a stormy, blustery, windy Masai Mara. We've had a massive storm that has just blown over and has hopefully left us for the remainder of the afternoon. What we also have in front of us is a beautiful cheetah. But before we go to the cheetah, my name is Tristan on camera. I've got James, and it's very, very warm welcome to all of you this afternoon. Remember that you can interact with us, and you can do so using #SafariLive on Twitter or @FC on the YouTube chat should you want to ask any questions. Now, we've been sitting with this cheetah for most of the afternoon, since about sort of 2 o'clock this afternoon is when we arrived with her, and she has been pelted with rain non-stop since then. It has been pouring down, and so she got herself very, very wet. Now, I think it's Kenya, I'm not 100% sure. All we've seen is her bottom in a bush for the entire time, and in the last 10 minutes she's just stood up and she's almost crossing this open area with serious amount of speed. So she's moving around quite quickly. I'm pretty sure she's on the hunt. She's got quite a thin belly, and so it promises to be an exciting afternoon with her. Hopefully, like I say, the wind will settle down and it will just kind of calm itself, because it is extremely windy at the moment and there is a lot of rain still hanging about. You can see some of those dark clouds in the background there. There is a lot of sort of big build up, and I reckon we're going to get a lot more rain before the end of the evening. But anyway, hopefully, like I say, it will just kind of keep away from us and it will rain other places, and we'll be allowed to follow this cheetah in peace without too much rain coming down. But either way, epic way to start an afternoon. To have a cheetah around is super special. Now we're going to have to try catch up with her. And Child of the Universe, you say nice work finding cheetah today. Well, Child of the Universe, I would love to take credit for this, but in fact I have nothing to do with any of this. This was David that found this cheetah this morning. He was the one that was able to catch up with her. In fact, she's not the only cheetah that's in the triangle at the moment as well. There's another female with 3 cubs, but we don't know which female it is. We weren't able to ID who it was yet. So this female is one, and then there's another one with 3 cubs, which is super exciting. So anytime we get lots of cheetah in the triangle is really very nice, and it's probably to do with the fact that we have this huge section that is so short. The grass is so short at the moment, and that's because this is the area that was on fire during sort of, I think it was July, August, somewhere there. And so it's the perfect habitat now for cheetah to be roaming around and to be looking around for food, as well as to stay safe. They'll be able to spot things like lion and hyenas and the various other predators quite easily. You can see she's a little bit jumpy with all of the wind that's blowing around at the moment. It's not easy for her to hear. Anyway, we're going to keep up with her. We're going to see where she goes. While we do that though, Brent Leo Smith down in South Africa, well, he's kicking off the South African portion of this drive to a rollicking start with a big cat of his own.
Well, there ain't no rollicking here. There's some very flat, big cats. There's, of course, the Niconico pride, who are, well, a portion of them, who are snoozing under a tumbuti and under grey skies. Good afternoon, my name is Brent Leo Smith. I have my friend Dimpled Dave, the objectified dish, on camera for the first time since he's come back from leave. And it looks like he had a good leave. I think he had to come back to work to get some rest. And we are with the Niconico pride. From what I heard, they were eating a zebra this morning. And at the moment, they are lounging. We're not going to stay here too long, because I'm pretty sure they're not going to do anything this afternoon. I think this is what they're going to do. They're going to snooze unless some poor unsuspecting critter stumbles upon them. So we're going to I just thought we'd have a quick look at the Nicomicos, and then we're going to dash towards the east and see if we can find Thandi and Tlalamba again. I've been having such a great, been properly spoilt by their antics. But again, a bit more rain last night, so excuse you, lion. There was a little bit of feline flatulence there. Thankfully, we are not downwind, because feline flatulence is horrid. David is wondering if there's been any updates on the Mangeni or Talamati males. Not for a while, not since I think the Voco was chasing the Talamati. There has been no sight of them. We did have one set of male lion tracks that went straight through and into the west so they could be in the west with the missing Nkohuma female, missing adult female, the one with the hip scar, and the Nkohuma male and some of the other subbies. The female Nkohuma subs are starting to look quite big. Maybe these girls have decided to take a break from those boys and team up with the evokers for now. Oh, there's a Cape Glossy starling wandering towards the lines. You see him there on the ground, David. Oh, of course he goes behind the only stick. Feeding in a patch of elephant dung. And that is about the most action we're going to see around these lions. Talking starling, particularly noisy birds, starlings, with a particularly, well, not the most pleasant singing voice. Oh, it got away from you, David. Of course, the lions pose no real threat to the starling. It's small and will get out of the way quite quickly. Okay, well, as I said, we're going to move on and see what else we can find. While we do that, let's send you across to Jamie so she can bid you a fond hello.
Hello, hello, and a very good afternoon to those of you joining us. It is marvellous to have you on board with us once again. So we've stopped to have a look at this female impala. I'll explain why in a moment, but first of all, introductions are in order. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon, Craig, also known as Batman, is on camera with me once again. So it's not uncommon in this, I wouldn't call it chilly actually, but in cloudy temperatures with a bit of wind and a bit of rain, it's not uncommon to see antelope lying down. But because it's that time of year, I just wanted to check to see whether there was any sign that this impala was actually thinking about giving birth. Although looking at her now that she's stood up, I think that has already happened. I think we're barking up the wrong tree there. She doesn't look particularly pregnant to me, or if she is, it's still not ready to be born. It might be one of the late lambs, you never know. But it was important for us to just have a look and just double check. No, that impala is not pregnant at all. Okay, no babies from her. In fact, she looks a little bit under the weather. Potentially quite an old lady who has been hit hard by the rigours of the dry season. Obviously, now that the rain has fallen, the leaves are starting to go green. There's a lot more for the browsers and all the mixed feeders like impala to eat. But in her case, she just looked like she just got a bit tired there. But it always pays to check. I don't think we've had a live birth this year, unless something happened while I was on leave, but I'm pretty sure I would know about that. So we haven't had a live birth this year. It pays to double check. Can't believe we haven't seen at least one baby at the very beginnings of its life. Now, for the moment, I think I'm potentially limited to where I can go, just due to some technical issues. So at the moment, I'm doing loops within loops around quarantine. Then the rest of the plan for the afternoon is to pay a visit to the hyena den, of course. I'm still desperately trying to do what I need to do, and at the same time, of course, I'd like to catch up with Corky, and I'd very much like to see Pretty, who I have not seen in a very long time. I was about to stop at the Wahlbergs, but the Drongos ruined that for me. They have chased away the Wahlbergs, which seems a little bit unfair, given that this is where the Wahlbergs' nest is. I mean, it's one thing when the little birds chase them away out of, a sort of defensive behavior. But given that this is where the Wahlbergs nest, I feel as though they're sort of entitled to sit on that tree. Now, that tiny little bird attacking the large raptor is known as a fork-tailed drongo, and they are full of attitude and cheek. Look at it go. It knows that it's more agile in the air. Look at the Wahlberg's turning its head back to snap at the bird. completely futile because there's no way on earth it's going to catch it. Oh, angry. Very angry indeed. Awesome camera work from Craig over there. He's done a fantastic job of keeping up with him. Right, and now the Wahlbergs has been seen off. It's now flying away from its nest. Now let's see where the Strongo decides to go. I'm keeping track of it. It hasn't even come back to the tree. That is terribly... I feel that's really terribly mean. The nest is up there. It's up in the middle of that knobthorn tree, although we haven't seen much Wahlbergs activity from in that nest this year. The great scandal, of course, was the fact that typically, each and every single year, it is the same Wahlbergs pair that we see, but this year's been a little different, and one partner's been replaced. Okay. Right, we're going to carry on. It appears to be raining, Craig. I stand corrected. I should not have said it was not going to rain. I'm just going to cover up some things here, just to make sure that they don't get too damp. One of those things we'll have to struggle on. I don't think it's going to be a huge amount of rain. I think that we can just cover ourselves up and then we'll be fine. Okay, while we do that and while we sort ourselves out to waterproof ourselves, let's go across to Tristan in the Mara, who is fairly familiar with dealing with a rainy afternoon. Hopefully the downpours there don't ruin his cheetah sighting.
Well, we have got a cheetah, but she's got the crazies, so she's running around like an absolute hooligan at the moment. She's now crossed off the burn section into the longer grass, and I actually think she feels a little bit more comfortable in the longer grass. I think she can hide away a little bit better. When we were watching her cross every direction, trying to get away from her, and I think, you know, even though the that I was talking about, that she's running around kind of just, I don't know what she's doing. She's just chasing birds and all kinds of
Yeah, okay, where is it?
Hello, hello. We are so sorry about that, but we are going to take you on an adventure anyway. I am Trishala, and we are currently looking for Hosanna. So we've heard that he was seen around the Cutline area, which is where I'm trying to go right now. Sorry, this road's a little bumpy. We've got these rain covers on because the weather is not looking good. I'm hoping that we don't have a repeat of last night. Really. Now, I'm also quite excited to maybe, I'm really getting into these birds, I must say. I think the more I see them, the more I'm absolutely loving it. Now have a look out there. It's actually quite much clearer, but there are some. Ooh, what do we have here? Let me just reposition. And wasn't I just talking about birds? Now they look a bit like some vultures. You can tell because they've got this hunched look that I quite like. Now that pole that you're seeing in your screen is of course the rain covers that I spoke about before, just in case we get showered upon blessings. There we go. So I can't get a really clear view, but I think that's a white-backed vulture. The most common one we see around, most common type of vulture we see around here. This poor guy, I'm not even sure if he even got into the air today. It's been so whether he's been able to get a thermal or not. But the fact that he's hanging about there, and especially in a dead tree, like a kill around there. And we did hear that the lions had a kill.
Well, sorry about that, guys. It seems as though there's a lot of gremlins around. Unfortunately, with storms on both sides of where we are, it's creating a little bit of havoc. And so, you know, these things do happen, unfortunately. And when South Africa gets rain, it generally is those big thunderstorms, which means, unfortunately, a lot of lightning. And lightning is always detrimental to electronic equipment. So I do apologize about our tech loop, but you're back, and hopefully it's going to work out.
Okay, we are back up and running, and our sincerest apologies for the break in transmission. All sorts of things are happening. I can only think to blame the rain. Now, this morning we ended up on a very strange train of thought. We were talking about about eating brains, whether or not the lions would be eating brains, because we were with the Nkuhumas this morning and they were eating a zebra. And we discussed whether or not they eat brains, and we then ended up onto a sort of zombie discussion, which ultimately ended us up with somebody who'd eaten a brain by mistake in Spain, which of course led to a reformation of the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain, and as an end result ended up talking about a zombie Pygmalion, or My Fair Zombie, as it was eventually called. It stuck with me all day. I can't shake it. I've been trying to think of the different songs of My Fair Lady rewritten for zombies. You know, it's basically like the reformed version of Pride and Prejudice, only a little bit different. And we're thinking about going to fetch our roof at this point. I'm trying to decide if this drizzle has set in or not, and decide whether or not not irritation of the roof, but it does restrict us in certain respects, and we've got to be very careful with our vehicle positioning, and the poles ruins the beautiful shot of a leopard walking, or whatever it is that we're going to see this afternoon. So I've been trying to debate in my own mind if it's going to stop or not. I, of course, am the world's worst weather predictor. As I said, if I were any worse at predicting the weather, I could be a meteorologist. I am absolutely appalling at it. So I'm really not sure. At this point, I have to circle around quarantine, and it's raining. Yay! Let's see what else we can find. This is now my second circuit of quarantine. Let's see what we can find. Perhaps we would like to do... Nope, the rattling sister killer flew away. Perhaps we would like to look at... What would we like to see? I'm sure that we can find something for you on this great, vast, empty, open area of nothing. There must be at least a bird, although most of them are now sheltering. But we're having a little problem with one of our receivers, which is why, although Brent has dashed off to Torchwood, he probably will struggle until they manage to sort that out. Okay, I'm going to do complete my second loop of quarantine and probably go and fetch my roof. Let us go and see whether or not Tristan is still with his cheetah and how things are going there.
Good luck, Jamie. I hope it doesn't rain too much on you, and I hope that you get your rain roof before it does. Now, we're struggling, it seems, with gremlins as well, and the rain is now turning and coming back on us as well. And for some reason, Kekenya wants to just walk straight into the rain. I don't know why. She's passing all kinds of prey animals, but what she's doing is very, very interesting. She's kind of going... I'm going to just try and get two different shots here for you. One is the beautiful sunset that we've got in the background, and the other is an ostrich that's with her. So she keeps going past all kinds of things, and then she goes to all these little kind of bushy areas, and she tries to then sort of look around inside the bushes. So I think she's looking for something like a scrub hare, or maybe a little dik-dik, or a steenbok, or something like that. That's maybe what she's trying to kind of find, but how beautiful is that? Is that not magical? The sun setting in the background and a female cheetah posing ever so nicely in the foreground. I think that's a wonderful shot. Well done, James. James is bringing us a sterling image there, which is very, very nice. It's obviously so nice to spend time with cheetah again. It's been a long time since I've spent any sort of decent quality time with a cheetah. In fact, the last time I spent quality time with a cheetah was the last time I was here, which is obviously quite a while ago. And so really nice to kind of see cheetah again, and to have had a sighting with Kekenya today that's been really quite pleasant. She's been very playful, and you can see, look, there she goes. So she's trotting off. Now, she's not hunting anything. She's just almost as though she's got a bit of a lease of life because of the rain. She's just kind of running about and is doing her thing. Now, what was interesting earlier is when she was sitting getting pelted by the sort of most of the storm, she was sitting there shivering. Shame, she was so cold. And I wonder if maybe this running around is a little bit of time warming up a little bit before she actually goes on any sort of serious hunt and actually tries to go after anything. I don't know, but it looks as though she's definitely looking for something in the little sort of pockets of grass and thickets, and I would imagine that would have to be something like scrub hares. That would be pretty much what she would go for, or she could be going after small birds, so some francolins and things like that. Cheetah will go after those from time to time too, but I would imagine it's mostly scrub hares and small antelope, maybe little baby antelope that have been hidden, little baby tommies or baby impalas or something like that might be hidden in these little thickets. That's probably what she's looking for. But if we kind of come out, you'll see that the rain is starting to come too. So from the sort of escarpment side, what's happened is the rain is shifting now around us and is going to come along, and you can actually see the escarpment is starting to disappear a little bit. It's kind of losing its shape because of the storm that's sort of heading back in our direction, which is not ideal. It went sort of north and is now turning back again. There's a bit of lightning and stuff, so hopefully, it'll kind of just blow over the escarpment and we won't have to worry too much. Kikenya, though, she seems to be wanting to take us right into the middle of the storm, so we're going to have to follow her as she does. I don't know where she's off to at the moment. It's quite far north compared to where we had her during that time when she had the cubs. So when I was last year, she had cubs, and that was far south towards Tanzania border. Now, Lego Brothers, exactly how fast are cheetah? Well, they're very fast is the answer. In the wild, I think the top speed that they've ever been clocked at is, I think, 93 kilometers an hour, or 93 or 95, somewhere there. Whereas in captivity, they've gone a little bit faster. 115, I think, is the fastest in captivity. But I mean, they really are quick animals. There's no one else that really can go as fast as they can, and 90 k's an hour is going some, particularly across terrain like this. It is not an easy feat to travel at that distance or that speed, so they are incredibly fast, and I'm quite happy that she's not running at 90 kilometers an hour, because to keep up with her over this terrain would be almost impossible. You'd have to try, always when cheetah are hunting, is try and position yourself in a way that they're going to run kind of parallel with you and sort of cross from your one side to your other, and hope that they intercept the prey animal before you kind of get to you. So that's the hope. But often cheetah, when they hunt, they end up disappearing so far beyond where you are that it's quite tricky to actually kind of keep up. But I definitely think she's after something particular. She's looking for something, because you watch how she walks now, and she'll go and she'll look in all of these little patches you see there, and she's almost as if she's kind of, I don't know what it is, but she's definitely got a bit of playfulness in her today, because she's bouncing around like that all over the place, and this has been the way she's been since she woke up from the rain. She has run around like this constantly. So she stops, she looks around, she kind of plays, and then she'll run, and then she'll stop, and then she'll go to these bushes and she'll sniff about, and then she runs again. And so she's quite busy this afternoon, and it's been a delight, like I say, to have her as busy as she has been. But I'm going to try to just catch up with her once again, because the problem with her is she takes 10 strides when she runs like that, and she leaves us way behind, and it takes us a bit of time just to catch up with her once again. I'm also trying to give her quite a bit of a lead space and not get too close to her, for the simple reason that if there is something that she wants to hunt, so let's say something like Tommy's or Grant's gazelle or something like that up ahead of us, that I can split off her quite a way away and just go around and stop kind of where the prey animal is, and so I'm not actually affecting her, and the animals aren't watching sort of the car. They're able to just sort of, both sides has got an even chance of hunting. So when she sort of looks as though she's intent on something, or we spot something, then we give her as much space as possible, and I don't want to kind of follow her too closely. But there you can see her, she's kind of heading slowly but surely into the rain. Oh, you're going to stop for us finally. That's very nice of you, girl. She's a beautiful animal, though, isn't she? And she's obviously quite famous in this part of the world. She's not nearly as famous as what Malika or the Five Boys are, but she is fairly famous in the Triangle because she raised 4 cubs to adulthood successfully. So she had a litter, which was Naratoy, Nasarian, and 2 boys, and they were raised successfully. And then she kind of, since then, has not had too much luck. But it was deemed to be an incredible feat for a female cheetah to have raised all 4. She only had 4, and she raised all of them as far as they know, and that was deemed to be quite incredible. So she's quite famous because of that reason. Shannon, I'm not 100% sure. I need to go and just double check. These kind of things have escaped my mind since the last time I was here, but I'll go and have a little check up. We do have an age for her, so I must just go and double check how old she is. But as far as I remember, she's not a hugely old cheetah, and if you look at her ears and her general sort of appearance, she's not tatty in any way whatsoever. So her ears are in good condition, her sort of general body is in good condition, and so as far as I remember, she's quite young. So I think she's somewhere around 6-7. But I'm not 100% sure. Like I say, I'll have to double check it. Maybe some of you have an answer for us. I know, James, you know the cheetahs of the Mara quite well, so maybe you can help us out with that and see if you got an age for her. But she's old enough to have had, obviously, Naserian and Naratoy, and for them to have bred, and then she's had, obviously, multiple litters since and hasn't had too much success with them. But it's really nice that we've kind of caught up with a cheetah, given that it was International Cheetah Day a few days ago, so it feels like it's a good thing that we've caught up with one quite close to it, and that we can kind of celebrate the fact that we still see these animals. Of course, they are having a tough time around Africa. Their numbers were depleted, and they then kind of responded quite well, and they were repopulated, even though it was from such a weak gene pool that it's left them to have a little bit of a susceptibility to various things. But they've done quite well in certain areas and other areas not so well, and so the general numbers are a bit of a worry with cheetah. They obviously are an endangered species. You can see she's watching an ostrich at the moment. That's way off in the distance. She's walked past that ostrich twice already, so she's not looking to hunt it, I don't think. She's just kind of watching it moving about. But and here in the triangle, it's an interesting thing because the cheetahs of the triangle are not nearly as consistent as the cheetahs on the other side of the river in the national park area. And there's probably many reasons for that. I think probably the terrain and then the shortness of the grass here influences the numbers of cheetah that we see. If you go onto the other side of the river, it's much shorter in a lot of the places, particularly towards the northern boundary, where we see a number of different cheetahs hanging about, and so it probably is to do with that. The cheetah here probably struggle a little bit more to see other predators as well as to find food. Anyway, we'll see how she goes. We're going to keep up with her. Like I said, we'll probably stay with her most of the afternoon. In the meantime, though, let's send you back across to Trishala, who's got a zebra carcass, I believe.
Yes, I do. I mean, when you drove up here, you could barely recognize what it was, apart from the obvious black and white stripes. It is what's left of a zebra. I think that's utterly amazing. It's basically a bag of bones. Now look at how cleanly all of the ribs have been cleaned out. Each bit of flesh has been removed. It's such an interesting thing because it's going through stages. First, we know that the lions got hold of this animal. We know that they cleaned off as much as they could, the parts that they like. Then we know that the vultures came down. The white-backed vultures got what they could, the bigger portions. Then we had the hooded vultures come down, take out these little bits, and now we have flies even coming through to have a bit of flesh, clean up the last bits of scrap. That's something I really appreciate about the bush. Everything has a cycle. Goes to dust in no time. And after this is done, I'm very sure that hyenas will come through and drag what they can from here. Utterly amazed. Now, if you watched this morning show, you would have seen that there was a lot of this animal left. Now, that's interesting. Obviously, I have James Henry on camera here. He's taking direction very well. And I said to him, I'd love to show you guys this hoof because you really get the opportunity to see what the hoof actually looks like, or in any case, what a track actually looks like, or the foot that makes the track looks like. We always see the track. And I like to see this because we can actually see the shape and size of it. I think very cool. Look at that. And we know that shape from when we're tracking, and we can see the soft bit in the front we often don't get to see. We only see that kind of, I don't know what sea-like shape almost. Obviously the smell is horrendous, But for you guys, I will tolerate it. Those flies do look massive. Matome, what a lovely name. Those flies are massive. I think those are flesh-eating flies. It would make sense since they seem to be eating flesh. And they are massive, but I've seen bigger flies. In the bush you see all sorts of flies just everywhere. But even they have their place and they're doing their job. Shannon wants to know if there's a big difference or any difference at all between a horse hoof and a zebra hoof, and they're pretty much the same. I mean, you can have a clear look there. I mean, it's missing a shoe, obviously, but it is pretty much the same. It's called a frog, I think, that shape. I find it odd. I'm walking on frogs. Yeah, but they're pretty much the same. Lou says, especially after all the rain, the zebra probably was walking on frogs. Oh. Yes. But I think that's fascinating. The way it all comes back full circle. This was an entire animal, but now just a bag of bones that'll provide nutrients for the rest of the bush. I think it's fascinating. Hashtag SafariLive. Tell me what you think. In the meantime, while I move on, so we're going to maybe have a look at the lions. I know that they're down there by the pan. But while I do that, let's go to Jamie and see what she's got for you.
That sounds like a good idea, Trish. Otherwise, I'm going to go to those lions, but I assume that's where they're heading today. So, we do sincerely apologize for the level of breakup you're experiencing with our Joom vehicles a lot of the time. It's purely because, oh dear, I've unplugged myself. There appears to have been some lightning damage to one of our repeaters, which is a bit of a disaster, but as you can imagine, it's sort of tall and straight up in the air on a mast. So as a result, that is going to be a potential problem with lightning. Just these Impala, I don't know if they were looking at me. Right, sorry, I'm just looking at the Impala. So if you are hearing a little bit of a strange or experiencing a strange breakup, it's not our feed, it's a problem with the repeater, so our apologies. There's nothing we can do, and I can't drive while on quarantine for 3 hours. I'll go mad. I guess it's me that they're looking at. I can't see anything else, and they're not in any way alarm calling, letting out sounds of warning. If they had spotted a predator. I suspect that the male lions are somewhere around here. The males that were with the Nkuhumas up until, as far as we know, this morning. Now, my feelings are is that when the Nkuhumas went hunting last night, they said to the boys, okay, you go that way. Off you go, we'll be right behind you. And then immediately dashed off in the opposite direction as quickly as possible to avoid sharing their meals. That, of course, is all happening in my head. But I do think there's a strong possibility that the males are around here, the 2 Mangeni males and the Talamati male. I'm looking for Hosanna, by the way. I've started on the west. I'm going to work my way east. We're going to see if we can figure out where he's disappeared to. Okay, let's carry on. They've relaxed again. Must have been me. Okay, we're going to continue onwards, see what else we can find for you on this gloriously gloomy afternoon. Now we've put our roof on, the rain has vanished, as is inevitable. Tristan doesn't have a choice when it comes to a roof, but he does have a cheetah.
the Duke, it's been a while since I've heard of too many updates from him. I'm sure he has been getting seen, I just haven't seen much of him lately, or heard much of him, like I say. So I hope that Jamie does find him. He's such a beautiful leopard that it would be so nice if he did make an appearance for us. I think so anyway. But as you can see, Kikenya has found herself a little throne to stand up on and to delight us with. She really is looking so regal up there, isn't she? It's a beautiful, beautiful kind of sunset in the background. It's faded somewhat since we kind of last saw you guys, but still very, very pretty. And it's nice to kind of get a nice side profile of her. You know, obviously with these guys, a lot of the time we don't actually get to see them that close. They kind of move quite far away from us, so it's very, very pleasant that she's decided to grace us with her presence and sit on top of a nice mound while we kind of enjoy her company. I've thoroughly, like I say, enjoyed having time with her today. It's been absolutely wonderful. Now, I'm not sure what she's looking for, though. She's been kind of scanning about, and she pokes her head up every now and then, and there's been a sort of... There was a black-bellied bustard that was here a little bit earlier that she looked at for a while, and then she ignored that, and then she perked up quite a bit, and she stood up dead straight and was watching like she is now. But I have no idea what she's actually picked up. I don't know what she's seeing, if maybe there was some sort of animal in the grass that she's decided is a worthwhile kind of food source. But it'll be interesting to see where she goes from here, as to whether she kind of moves a little bit further northwards, or if she goes up towards the escarpment area. It'll be very interesting. So, Sky, do the cheetah leave the Mara during the migration and head towards Tanzania? So, no, not really. I mean, obviously we know that the 5 boys, they stick around. They hunt a lot of the migration. But what is interesting is I was having a chat with some of the other kind of guides out here that are at Ngama, and they were telling me that often what they see with the cheetahs is that during the migration period, if they've got young cubs, then they tend to move away. They don't like staying here. And it's normally because during that phase with the small cubs is that the stampeding of the migration often leads to death within these cheetah cubs, apparently. And so, I mean, I haven't seen this firsthand, and they say that that's what often happens, is when their mothers have very small cubs, they tend to move away from the migration. And then as the migration sort of turns and changes, then they start to come back into those areas. And it would be, I suppose, make some sense in that we haven't seen much cheetah action around, and I've been asking David and Steve, and they said they have hardly seen any, and neither have many of the rangers that actually work at the various places within the system. And they were saying that, you know, they haven't seen too much. Now that the wildebeest have disappeared, remember the wildebeest have only disappeared in the last sort of 3 weeks, or 2 to 3 weeks, and now we're starting to see kind of Kikenya back here, another female with 3 cubs. There was that unknown male. So there's been a lot more cheetah sightings over the last little bit, and maybe there is some correlation within the migration being a bit hectic for cheetah, and so they decide no, they rather kind of move off and find somewhere else to go and spend time. But it's certainly an interesting topic, and one that I'm sure there are many theories on. I would imagine that many people have some sort of theory on where the cheetahs go and why they move around during kind of migration periods, and I would hope that it's got not too much to do with the migration. I would imagine it is a food source for adults, but maybe with cubs that makes sense to me. If there's cubs around, then sure, I would imagine that would be the case. You know, they'd try and kind of keep their cubs safe and go. But anyway, it's either way, I'm not complaining. It's good, nice that we're seeing cheetah moving back into the triangle and seeing them a lot more. With that big burnt section where we found her, it's going to be a good place, I would imagine, for cheetah over the next little bit. It's going to stay nice and short. There's a lot of game on there, so you see a lot of zebras there. We see a lot of Thompsons, Grants, eland, topi. So there's a lot of food sources for cheetah on those open areas, and then they can then see any predators coming. And so I think the only reason we didn't see her hunt on that burnt section earlier is primarily because of the fact that there was hyenas around. So just before we went live, we saw hyenas, and so that's probably why. So my name, do cheetahs have territorial boundaries similar to leopards? Most definitely with the males. The males will have boundaries that they will patrol and scent mark. Females do it too, but it seems to be a lot more fluid. Depends also where you are. In some parts of Africa, you don't see as much of movement as you see here. You know, if you go to South Africa, the cheetah territories around the Kruger Park sort of section seems to be a lot smaller than what you see here, although it's in saying that, you see that female that we were seeing with the two cubs, the one that's got the missing tip to her tail, she's gone all the way back up to Thorny Bush again and then did a big kind of loop round. So I suppose they kind of move. They've got more sort of, I would describe it as a home range rather than a fixed territory, and so the home range is an area that they will move around in, that they'll mark, but as things change and as conditions change, so they will then move off. All right then, off we go. Enough standing around, apparently. Time to move on and to go and find where she wants to go. Whatever it is, she's quite excited to get there. Okay, Kenya, what have you spotted? See how she's looking around in these little thicker areas, as though there's... I wonder if she's maybe looking for even things like mice. Be interesting. Scrub hares must be the prime target here, surely. I don't see anything running when she kind of bounds in through the grasses like that, but either way it's a joy to watch, and to watch them kind of just sort of get out of their sort of canter and run is an absolute pleasure. They are an amazing animal to see running, and to see one at full speed has got to be one of those kind of bucket list things for most people that enjoy wildlife, because it is really quite incredible. You can't believe how fast these guys go when you see them at full speed. It is mind-boggling as to how quickly they can cover ground. Right. Disappearing. Sorry, Louise, you broke up badly there. I didn't get all of that. So I'm trying to fix my earpiece to see if it's that or if we just lost our comms. Sorry, Lou, you're breaking up too badly. I can't actually hear what you're saying, so I'm afraid I do apologize. All it is every little so unfortunately for me, I'm not going to be able to hear what that is until we sort it out. It's quite tricky when it gets like that. Our radio, we're a bit blinded when our radio doesn't work. It means that we can't hear you guys nearly as well. So it's the way it goes, though. Like I say, it's part of being live out in Africa. It's a pretty special thing that we get to drive around here and to try and actually bring you guys back. Oh, there we go, Louise. I got the comms test. I didn't get any further than that. Did you say anything more than that? Louise could be having a whole conversation about me, and I would never know. It would be quite interesting. Yes, Louise has been talking to herself apparently and has been doing all kinds of things. Louise, you better not have been nasty to me. Don't be nasty to me. Anyway, we're going to stop right here for 2 seconds because it's a beautiful kind of sunset, like I say, behind her. Isn't that pretty? There's a reason why the Masai Mara is as beautiful as it is, well, why people say it's very, very pretty, and why a lot of people come here is because of scenes like that. That is absolutely stunning. I think so. I mean, I don't know. There's maybe other people that think there's better scenes out there in Africa, but for me, I think that's seriously, seriously beautiful, and one that kind of screams Africa to me. It's just kind of cheetah, big open grasslands and a beautiful sky in the background. It's probably what most of you at home thought of when you first thought of Africa, is these kind of scenes. Maybe you would have had lions instead of a cheetah, but it's these kind of big open plains that everybody always thinks of when we talk about Africa, and when we think about Africa, everybody always first connotation will be big open grasslands, and funny enough, as we know with Djuma, it's not like that at all. In vast parts of Africa, it's very bushy and very thick and difficult to negotiate, but it's because of documentaries and movies and all kinds of other things that, you know, we're prejudiced as thinking these ways. All right, well... And you can see just like that how far she covers, and she's not even running at probably 40% of what she could. That's just a little bound for her. That's a little light jog that she's taken, so it gives you an idea of how much distance she can cover and how quickly they do it. It really is quite insane to see these guys moving the way that they do. But anyway, let's try and kind of catch up with her, because I feel like every time she just does that, we get left way behind, and then you've got to kind of bounce our way along and try and get somewhat closer once again. I'm just trying to scan around as well as we're going, just to see if there's any sign of any prey animals that she could potentially hunt. So far, I haven't seen anything. Since we left that burnt section, I haven't seen anything. It seems as though most things are on that side. Bluegill, I suppose, I think I got this. You broke up a bit, but I think I got the gist of it. It's something to do with will cheetah change hunting due to weather? Is that what it was? Just double check before I launch into this. Okay, so hunting behavior in rainy weather. It's much like any cats, they are opportunistic, and so I suppose in hunting weather, in rainy weather, hunting with cheetah typically doesn't take place. You normally see with cheetah when it rains, they hunker down and they just kind of get into a ball and they wait for the rain to stop. As the rain stopped, they then start to become a lot more active and a lot more kind of mobile, and they'll actually use that sort of slippery ground to their advantage because they have these long sort of claws that act like running spikes and can keep them quite safe in comparison to, something with a small hoof that can slip very quickly on a muddy surface. And so you'll find when it's raining that they'll hunt just after, but during rain, for the 90% of the time, a cheetah is literally just going to hunker down and just try and sit there for as long as possible and stay as sort of dry as it can. It was quite funny when the rains first arrived this afternoon. She sat perfectly out in the open, and then the rain started and she ran to this nearest little thicket, and then she just buried herself in the thicket and kind of hunched down and her head ducked down, and then she was just there for quite a while, and she lay there until the rain, sort of the most of the rain passed, and then she was quite happy to sort of sit still and then start to move. So, they typically won't hunt too much when it's bucketing down, like you would see with even lion and leopard. Both of those do it. When it's bucketing down, you will see both lion and leopard actually try and hunt. They'll do it quite regularly, particularly lions with buffalo. You see it quite often with them doing it. But with cheetah, not so much. They'll typically wait until it gets a little bit sort of, what would the word be? Drier is probably a good way to put it, before they attempt too much hunting for the day. So they're more sort of fair weather, should we call it. And you'll find that, like I say, when it's a bit slippery out there, it's actually not bad for cheetah. They'll sometimes do very, very well when it's a little bit slippery because it works in their favor. They, like I say, have big sort of feet and long claws that are able to kind of grip in even in the worst weather, whereas obviously a lot of other sort of animals out here, like we said earlier, will slip and slide a little bit, so they do hunt a lot after rain. I suppose they also get a new lease of life when they're a little bit kind of, what would the word be, say they're, they've kind of been rained on, so they've cooled down, and I suppose they've just got a little bit of energy to burn when it's that sort of time of the day. Rejuvenated, refreshed. There we go. You're like a thesaurus, Louise. You're a pocket thesaurus is what you are. Rejuvenated, refreshed is probably, refreshed is a better one. A radio thesaurus. Louise, the radio. You can almost be like Siri, Louise. You can adopt that kind of fame. You can be the next Siri, which is going to be the thesaurus Siri instead of an actual kind of mobile phone Siri. That's what I think it can be the case. That's what I would imagine. Have you been called Siri once before? Well, I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. I would think that would be probably quite correct in that you're obviously a good James Hendry. Well, that's not a surprise in any way, shape or form. I wonder how James Hendry is doing. He's obviously a fearless leader for our presenting department, and I spoke to him. When did I speak to him? A few days ago. He seemed to be in good spirits, so hopefully he's well. So James Hendry apparently is out with the Tlamfies. Now, Tlamfie is in a Shangaan word for fish, which is what we call our Dive Live crew has joined us. We call them the fish. So he's out with them apparently, and they have very bad signal. So that's why you guys are with us while Kekenya is just sitting and watching and scanning what's going on. But at the moment she's very, very relaxed, isn't she? She's had the most wonderful kind of afternoon of playing. It seems like it would be so nice if there had been a cub with her, because I think they would have had the best game this afternoon had there been cubs with her. And it's a bit sad that she lost all her cubs. Obviously Scott was here when we he found the den and saw those tiny little ones, and then we did den watch for weeks on end, which I can promise you is probably some of the longest days I've spent out in the bush, just purely because it's nice to sit and, well, the idea sounds great of sitting at a cheetah den and waiting for her to appear with her little ones, but I can assure you the reality of it is different. Off you go. She's bounding off again and carrying on. But the reality of it is different, is that basically we spent, I would say, probably in excess of, what would it be, 12 hours a day, just sitting and watching a grassy hill with no sign of a cheetah. I saw her only, I think, twice at the den, but I must have spent 3 weeks there just watching grass blowing in the wind for 12 hours, which, I can promise you in these cars it starts to get a bit uncomfortable after a while. And so anyway, right now I believe I'm sending you back to South Africa. I must be honest, I have no idea to who or what they are up to, but either way I'm sure you'll enjoy whoever it is.
It's me, and I'm driving around. Are you shocked and surprised? Yes, of course you are. You know, it's interesting. I have seen very similar here. Obviously, I'm seeing Tristan seeing blue sky. And I've seen very similar from one other in my time. And that was
Well, sorry about that, everybody. We're still struggling a little bit with some gremlins, particularly down on the Djuma side of things, which is making life a little bit tricky. So you're stuck with me for this afternoon, which is unfortunate if you don't like my blabbing, but it is what it is. So we'll just have to kind of show you the cheetah, and you'll be happy with that, rather than, like I say, me just talking nonsense as much as possible. But anyway, it's still sitting with Kikenya. She's still kind of scouting about. We are probably, I think in all likelihood, I'll probably leave her just now. When it gets really, really dark, and if she's mobile, I'm probably just going to leave her to do her thing and not stress her too much. I wanted to follow her for quite a bit this afternoon and into the evening, just to have a better idea of where to kind of start looking for her again tomorrow, because it's always special to spend a lot of time with cheetah, and she is not full at all, so hunting is going to be high up on her sort of priority list at some point. And so if we can spend a bit of time with her, then we might get lucky and we might be able to find her hunting or see what she gets as a meal. It's always incredible, like I say, to watch her as she does do all of these things. Well, Cantrell, it's not as clear-cut as what you think. As much as cheetah is a diurnal animal, they do sometimes hunt at night. So in some areas, they will do a little bit of hunting at night. It's not hugely it's not a huge percentage of their hunting time, but they do it from time to time. But essentially, at night, they sleep a lot. So if you ask Scott, who spent vast majority of his time with the five boys when they were kind of established, but when they first kind of spent time with him, he said that they used to move massive distances through the night. They would walk all night long and cover huge tracts of land. But as they got kind of to the point where they were more established, then you found that they would sleep a lot during the night, and they would just lie there and rest, and then they would be quite active around this time of the day, and then early in the morning, just as before the sun would come up, and then just after the sun was up, and then during the day they would take any opportunities if they came their way, but it wasn't necessarily all about just kind of hunting during the day. So cheetah does rest a lot during the day as well. When it gets hot, it'll find a tree and it'll lie down and just kind of rest there and take it very, very easy. But they do move around from time to time as well. Right, now she's busy canting away from us once again. Kikenya, where are you off to, girl? And what are you looking for? I'm intrigued. I want to know what she's doing. I think she's looking for any signs of scrub hares. That's what my guess is, or little baby animals that are hidden in the grass. A little baby antelope that have been left in the grass by their moms to kind of just sit there and camouflage. I think that's maybe what she's kind of looking for. Emruth, no. So if she was looking for a male cheetah, we would hear her calling, and we'd see her scent marking excessively. She'd be spraying everywhere as she went, and that will obviously then attract the attention of a male through scent. But she's not doing any of those things, so she's just more kind of moving around. I think she's looking for a certain type of food. Maybe she's got a certain technique that she likes to employ, much like the five boys use each other to be able to hunt down wildebeest and topi. Maybe she's got a way of doing things as well, that she likes to kind of go from bush to bush, and she sort of surprises things like scrub hares and tries to kind of make them sort of move around. So that's what I would imagine would be the case. I mean, I think that's what she's looking for at the moment. But like I say, we're probably in all likelihood going to leave her fairly shortly and let her kind of carry on for the night. It is starting to get quite dark here, and so, you know, at the end of the day, she's also heading into an area that's going to be quite tricky to follow her. It gets quite rocky as you get over this ridge where you can see there's a little drop off there. That's where it starts to get almost impossible to be able to actually follow her. It's quite tricky to kind of get down into that area. So, you know, we'll try and kind of figure it out and see where she's going to go. But either way, very, very cool to kind of have followed her for as long as we have, and we've been thoroughly treated by her this afternoon, that's for sure. She's spoilt us with a lot of interesting behavior. Now, Nancy, how do cheetahs and leopards compare in size? Well, cheetahs are much longer animal, so it's a huge difference in terms of length. So it's a long animal, long tail. It's much taller than a leopard for the most part as well, but is much lighter. So a leopard would be a lot heavier animal, a lot thicker set, big shoulders, big head, big legs, whereas cheetah is a much narrow animal but is longer and taller in many respects. And so in terms of, it depends on what you're looking at, which is going to kind of give you an idea of size. You'll have, in terms of the like I say, the females, You'll have the kind of, in terms of the cheetah, you'll have really kind of long animals, tall, but weigh very little, whereas a leopard, very thick, heavy set, big forearms, big chest, weighs a lot more power. So it's a kind of game between power and speed, and so it depends on what you want to compare to give you an idea of how big they are. But she's kind of trotted off now and sort of running ahead of us. She's quite far in the distance, so we're going to just try and see if I can just get one last view of her before she disappears into a horrible section. She's gone into like a little thicket now. I wonder if she's going to go and rest there at this stage. So she's just straight ahead. Oh no, there she goes. She's running off again. But there's a little green thicket that she's kind of gone into, and she's sniffing about in there as well. And it's funny because when we were watching the serval hunt the other day, this is exactly the same technique that serval employed as well, is that it would go to all of these little grassy and bushy little areas, and then it would look around for all kinds of food items hidden within those. And it seems as though Kekenya is going to do the exact same thing. So I'm wondering if maybe that's her technique, is to be able to actually try and hunt using these kind of things, and to be able to move around and just try and find anything that is hiding out. Now I can hear some vehicles behind me, so they were coming to investigate what's going on, so we'll just kind of, I think they're worried about coming in front of us. So James, if they want to, they're more than welcome to come in front and carry on the way. It's not like we... Oh, now that's a surprise. It sounds as though Jamie has somehow figured out a way to find some sort of stability in her signal, and so let's send you across to her while we catch up with Kekenya.
Okay, we've problem solved this issue, sort of. So I do sincerely apologize to poor Tristan. We've left him in the lurch, but at least he had Kekenya keeping him entertained. I'm back. I'm going to the lions. I have not stolen it out from under Trishala's nose, but due to the technical difficulties, we've discussed it with them, and I'm going to make my way in there so that at least we have myself and Tristan while we try and troubleshoot the other issues. So I promise I haven't just stolen it away from Trishala. We're going to go to the lions. Lou, I assume James was okay with it. He doesn't seem to have called me or anything on the radio, so I assume everything's okay and good to go. Cool. Oh, it's too late now. I'm nearly there. And I've called myself into the sighting. Alright, there we go. So, tricky problem solving here, a bit of juggling, but we've figured it out as we've gone along. And we're just about to get back to the Nkuhumas. Oh, do a little circumnavigation. You know what the most irritating aspect of this afternoon is? And there's very little else that gets me very irritated. But oh dear, hello. Hello. James does not realize he's live. Right. Cool. Okay, cool. James was just showing us that the roof was a good idea, is what he was doing. He was just pointing upwards into the air. That's definitely exactly what he was doing. He was showing us that the roof was sensible. What are they? Okay, cool. All right. I'm giving it over to them. It's all theirs. Which way are they going? Nope, they're going the other way. All right. Okie dokie. There's the lions. How marvelous. And there's no one else here. Marvelous. Okie dokie, would you look at that? Flat kitty cats on a gloomy afternoon. Hello ladies, would you mind if I do some shuffling around you? Just because of this roof, I'm going to come quite close to you. Hello girl. Nice and slow. She doesn't seem to be too worried at all. I'm just trying to reposition so that Craig can film over the front of the car rather than... Oh, it's a bit of a squeeze. It's a bit of a squeeze. We're going to make it. We're going to do it. Sorry, Craig. You good? Okay. Craig, how's that? Can you see there? I can't actually see through the plastic of my monitor. Okay. We're good. That's best I can do right now. And that is how we shall stay. There we go. Sleepy, sleepy kitty cats. A wonderful opportunity for you all to send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter or your comments. And perhaps let's think a little bit about what's happening with the Nkuhumas and do a little bit of speculation, and it is pure speculation, because they have confused us greatly with their comings and goings at present. Oh, it's good to see them with full bellies, isn't it? I don't know, the last few times I've seen the Nkuhumas, they haven't been hungry, but they haven't been this fat. Now we've got a row of 3 ginormous bellies. Absolutely enormous. They look as though they've swallowed a beach ball. As you can see, for our viewers who perhaps have always been wondering about this but have never had the courage to ask, and we do have lots of viewers who don't necessarily ask the questions that they want to. In case you're wondering why they are breathing so fast on such a nice cool day, it's only about 71, 72 degrees Fahrenheit, or in the low 20s in centigrade. In case you're wondering why they're breathing so fast, it is because their bellies are obscenely full, which is the standard approach of most predators out here. They never know when the meal is, or when the next meal is going to grace them with its presence. As a result, they have to gorge themselves whenever they get the opportunity. Well, their metabolisms and their digestive systems are geared towards this, but the breakdown of meat does produce a great deal of heat, which in turn makes them quite hot, which means they have to pant and cool down their nasal passages. I'm with them now. You can keep making your way towards Gallagher. Which side are you approaching from? Okay, copy. Keep coming along Gallagher shortcut and take the link to Gallagher Marty. You'll see us from the road. Here we go. Sorry, just helping a fellow soldier of the wilderness out in terms of finding us. Haha, Deborah, lions do snore. I have heard them myself. They don't usually, but especially when they've got an injury around their nasal passage, for some reason the airways are obstructed, then they do actually make tiny little snoring sounds. It's not quite the sort of marriage-ending sound of sort of deal. I'm glad you enjoyed that demonstration. I wasn't even giving you the option, but it is soft sort of snorts. Ladylike snores, although I have heard male lions do it as well. So yes, lions can and do snore, but it's usually when they have an obstructed airway or nostril for some reason. They don't really get many sinus problems in the same way we do. They don't get hay fever or anything like that. Their immune systems are, in comparison to ours, well, they're actually just streaks ahead in terms of the power of their immune system. So they don't really suffer from colds and flu and infections in the way we do. It does happen, but it's very rare that you'll find a lion or a leopard with a snotty nose. But they can and they do snore. They also dream. So while we watch them, we can ponder as to what they really dream about. Do they relive their glorious moment last night when they managed to catch a zebra after putting in presumably a lot of hard work? Do they revel in that experience? Who knows? Or do they dream of other things? Who knows what they dream? They definitely dream, though. You'll see their paws twitching. Do they have nightmares? Horrible thoughts of big male lions coming in and disrupting their lives? Or perhaps, I don't know, what would a lion nightmare be apart from that? Not many other things that are, well, a threat to lions like this. The hyenas in this area, oh, big sigh. Maybe they have a crisis of identity or purpose. Who knows? It's doubtful, though. Okay, we're going to have to do some shuffling. You can make your way. I'll move back a little bit. Okay. I'm going to need to move so that other vehicles can get in here. I think I can move backwards. So one of the things that we try and do is shuffle around, whether we're repositioning in a sighting or whether we are trying to catch up with something like a cheetah, which Tristan has done. Bravo, Tristan. Let's go and see what Kenya's up to next.
Well, enjoy shuffling. We've also been shuffling our way around until Kenya just decided all of a sudden just to flop down in the grass. She's almost as if to say, I've had enough now, I'm going to sleep right here. And it's amazing. If she sits like this, you would not see her if you were, I mean, we're close to her at the moment, we're probably 20 meters, but if she were 100 meters away, there's absolutely zero chance of you being able to spot her in this grass. And so it's a wonder how many cheetah we probably drive past, or leopard or lions or whatever it may be in the Mara system, because a lot of the roads are quite far apart, and so you often get this situation. I mean, if she lies down flat, you would have no idea that she is even here, other than those little black ears that are moving every now and then. So, you know, they are around. It's just sometimes I suppose we miss them a little bit. But she's kind of moved and now has decided it's time just to rest and sleep, and I wouldn't be surprised, like I say, that that's going to be her for the night. She's going to end up probably just taking it very, very easy and maybe just sleeping a bit. I was wondering if maybe she was waiting for it to get a little bit more dingy before she moved back onto the dark patch, or I mean onto the burnt section, in order to try and potentially hunt again there, where it was a little bit easier for her to move around without being spotted, because she was being spotted very easily on that burnt section. But I suspect maybe it's just that, you know, she wanted to go and do a little look around and loop around, because she went quite far north and she's turned and she's ran south quite a long way again. So we've gone a long way back to where we kind of started. So I'm not sure what she's up to. You know, just looking around, maybe just checking who's around, seeing if there's any sounds or signs, should I say, of cheetah or other cheetahs in the area. So in terms of, I wonder if she's looking for any signs of her daughters in Seren and Naratoy, and if they've been around. But there's nothing else that's kind of followed her. I've been looking to see, because she kind of looked over her shoulder, got nervous and ran southwards, and I thought maybe there was some hyenas or maybe a lion or something, but there's definitely not. I keep looking kind of where she's come from, and there's definitely nothing coming behind us. So maybe just the wind that's giving her the crazies and why she's running up and down. But look at that camouflage, isn't that amazing? So you can see why if she hunted in this section, it would be a lot easier for her in many respects, because she'd be able to move around quite easily without really being seen. If she just gets nice and low and she kind of stalks that way, she would definitely be able to get herself into a much better spot to be able to hunt, whereas on that open area it would be a lot more tricky. But in saying that, obviously we know that cheetah don't spend a huge amount of time ambushing their prey, so they don't have to get as close. As long as they can get within a certain distance, then they're pretty happy to hunt even in the most open sections, and those 5 males are proof of that. I mean, they hunt right out in the open, but they do also have the advantage of having 5 of them, which is always much easier when it comes to hunting. And funny enough, if you're wondering about the 5 boys, they've actually been quite busy this week. They've been mating with a female, poor female. I feel sorry for her, because if you look at all the kind of photos and pictures of it, you'll find that there's just this scrum of cheetahs together, and this poor female at the bottom of it, and males are just kind of going crazy. And a lot of the time when it's like that, is actually not really mating taking place, even though you'll see 5 of them on top of this female and all of them are kind of trying to mate with her. What really happens is when they're actually starting to properly mate is that they'll separate off slightly. So one male will go with that female, they'll then mate, and then they'll kind of, the males will rejoin and that female will go off. But it's very seldom will you see all of them in a scrum fest like that there's actually any serious mating taking place. It's more just kind of the initial stages and all the boys vying for position in order to get themselves a female to be able to mate with. So it's quite an interesting process, and I must be honest, I wish we saw those 5 boys on the triangle side. It would be such a wonderful thing to see them, but they don't come down this way at all. I've never heard of them crossing into the triangle. You never know though, one day they might come this side, but they really are a fascinating group of cheetahs to watch and to kind of study. I think their sort of behavior is something that many of us don't really, or never really thought possible. And I think a lot of the things that they do has been quite eye-opening for a lot of people. So been interesting to kind of follow them and watch what's been going on. And I mean, we had at SafariLive, we had some crazy sightings of those guys, Scott and even Brent and Jamie and James and Ralph, and who else was up here during those periods? That's it, I think. That was everybody. They got some, even Taylor spent some time with them too, so they got some crazy sightings and got to see some very, very cool things. And those 5 boys, like I say, are definitely something that are probably going to go down in history as a very, very special thing that we've had out here. I don't know how often it happens to see those kind of things. MGM, how do you tell the difference between male and cheetah? Quite tricky in comparison to lion and leopard. Obviously, lion and leopards give you a much easier way of being able to sort of see, and there is a size difference between them, so male's heavier, but it's very tricky. It's unless you see them side by side, that size difference is not always that easily viewable. Males do have slightly bigger heads, and you'll find the best way is just to look under the tail, really. So testicles of a male cheetah stick out like a sore thumb, typically because cheetah, when they walk, their tail is quite straight out and kind of curved upwards, and so it's quite easy to actually see if it's a boy or a girl. But size is one thing, so the males are bigger than the females, and definitely have a much sort of stockier appearance. What is she watching? She kind of keeps looking in that direction. I can't see a single thing. We're looking hard in that area, but there's no sign of anything that I can see at all. So I don't know what she's seeing that we're not. Maybe something way in the distance. Their eyesight is incredible. These animals see a lot better than what we do, that's for sure. And so maybe she spotted something way off that she's a bit kind of nervy about, and is rather just going to kind of allow it to come closer before she decides what she's actually going to do. Right, we'll sit with her. I think we've probably got about another 10 or so minutes that we'll be able to spend with her before it gets too dark, and we're going to just end up kind of shining lights and not doing the right thing. And so before that happens though, let's send you back across to Jamie, who's got the Niconico Pride, who sounds like they're up and moving on their own accord.
They are up and about. Interestingly enough, it just goes to show how opportunistic lions are. A herd of impala nearly walked right into the middle of the pride of Nkuhumas and attracted the attention of some of the lionesses, who got up and went straight into stalk mode. Now, you'll notice every now and again that we struggle to follow them. That's of course because we have a roof on, even though it's not raining. I don't want to talk about it anymore. One of the lionesses making her way down to where those impala were, very softly. There's the ridge-nosed lioness. She also wants to get involved. Sorry about the pole, everyone. Just one of those things, and it's a bit of a tight squeeze in here. Are we going to go that way? Nope, we are going to stop right here and urinate. No? No impala for you? Okay. Oh, shame. They've disturbed a dickhop. Sorry, Mike. Hold on. I'm just going to try and see if we can see this. I don't think we're going to be able to. Sorry, girl. But there's a thickney that's been flushed out by the lion. Can you see it there, Craig, or is it too... It's going to be a bit of a messy experience. It's there it is. That's it over there. It's been flushed out by the lions. We don't usually get to see them at this time of day. They're nocturnal birds. There goes the lioness. Oh, here comes Amber Eyes. Oh, my girl. Oh, shame the dickops are so upset. I can just hear them squeaking. They're not called dickops anymore. They're called thicknees. They must have a nest in there. I bet you they do. I can't move at the moment, unfortunately. I would like to reposition, because it does look like these lionesses are going to go and hunt. Here comes the lioness that's blind in one eye. She's not blind, actually. I don't know if she's fully blind. There she goes. Oh, we were going to answer the question about the dynamics that we have here. Yes, we have 4 adult lionesses and just one of the sub-adults. One of the females. Come on then. Ridge-nose, you were the one who was the most keen. Are you going? Yes, no? Come. Looking at us. Our roof flapped slightly in the breeze. Alrighty. Now it's time to follow along. I think they're going to hunt the impala, but there's nothing I can do until the other 2 vehicles move. So we just have to sit patiently until we can. Someone's feeling not up to the hunt this afternoon. Not interested at all. Where have they gone? Craig, sorry, I'm going to lean forward over and into your shot. It's the only way I can see. I just want to get a direction here. No, they've gone right down into the drainage. Cool. How's it going? Cool. Are you... All right. Hey, one of the vehicles is having a little bit of a problem getting back out of this situation. So we're going to try and catch up with the Nkumas and see if we can help him out. While we do that, we'll send you across to Tristan in the Masai Mara, who is hopefully still with their Kenya.
Well, good luck, Jamie. I know those Nkumas can be a little bit slippery sometimes when they go through the thickets, so hopefully you'll be able to keep up with them. As you can see, we're with our salad cat. I've now nicknamed her salad cat because she's just eating grass, and she's now licking her lips after her little salad that she ate off the top of that mound. She kind of went up there and just grazed a few inches off the top and is now looking very smug with herself. Yes, you're a pretty girl, aren't you? Shame. She's a beautiful cat. And seriously, I've enjoyed, like I say, my afternoon. Hopefully you guys have too. It's always special, like I say, to spend some time with cheetah, you know, and Juma. We're so lucky that we spend so much time with leopard and obviously, you know, we don't get as much with lions, but, you know, we see a lot of those too. But here with cheetah, you know, we haven't really had that much lately, and so it's such a privilege to be able to spend a lot of time with the cheetah once again. So I've thoroughly enjoyed my afternoon. Like I say, hopefully you guys have too. And we're off back the exact way we came. So the way that she's walking now, this is the exact direction that we drove in to get to the point that we did. She's lay on top of a mound, decided no, she doesn't want to go that way anymore. And now we're going back all the way the same direction to where we originally started, which is a long way away from where we are now. The road is pretty distant. So if you look on the horizon, that's where the road is. That's how far we've got to go off the road in order to get with her and to follow her. And now we've got to get all the way back to that section to get onto the road once again. So it's going to be a bumpy little long sort of journey back. And like I say, it is starting to get dark. You can see it's getting a bit dingy now. And so, I mean, as much as we probably could follow her at night, you know, here in the Mara, there isn't any of those rules that we should leave cheetahs. I just, you know, she's given us so much already during the course of the afternoon. We've been with her since 2 o'clock this afternoon. So, you know, we've spent a good sort of 6 hours, or maybe not 6 hours. What is the time now? Is it 6 o'clock now? I don't even know what the time is, to be honest with you guys. My watch broke the day before I left, which I'm very sad about. So a lot of you will know that I wear a watch every single day. And 6:30 our time, yes. What is that? That's... yes, 6 hours basically. That's 4 hours. Sorry, 4.5 hours that we've been with her. So a lot of you will know that I wear a watch every day, and it's Murphy's law. It's karma. Well, not karma, but it's Murphy's law. Brent and I were having a conversation when we were on leave, and I was saying that my watch has really stood up to the test of time, and it has been through abuse. It's about 10 years old, that watch, and it has had an absolute pounding in its life. It's been through everything you can imagine a day-to-day basis, and I don't take it off, so it kind of gets absolutely hammered. But anyway, so Brent said no, he would manage to break it in a few days because he's so hard on watches, and you know, Brent's He-Man Leo Smith is one that just breaks everything apparently. And so I thought to myself, well, no, it's fine, it all works, and it's got a titanium band that runs, well, I don't know if you can call it a band. Is it a band if it's got little links in it? I don't know, you strap, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, so it has a titanium band in it, and so what I did is I thought, well, I'll be fine with it, everything will be good, and then the little link broke, and so I went to try to get it fixed because it broke halfway through the day, and I went to try to get it fixed, and they said they couldn't fix it before my departure time that evening. And so my poor watch is still sitting at the jeweler, and I'm timeless, should I say, and which is depressing in many respects. I keep looking and seeing no watch, and then panicking, and then also randomly, because you know the weight of a watch is always kind of there, and so I keep feeling like it's too light, and then I panic because I think it's fallen off somewhere, and then I remember, no, actually it's just being fixed, and that's, you know, I'll get it back when I get back. But it's a horrible feeling, and then I'm gonna have to get used to it again. By the time I get back, I'll be used to not wearing one, and then these are the struggles that are in my life at the moment. I know, not very much of a problem, but anyway, such is the case. Right, so let's catch up with Kekenya for one last view, because it is getting very dark now, and so I'm not, like I say, going to stay with her too much longer. I just want to get one last view. Oh, no, it was not a Christmas gift, to be honest with you. I thoroughly enjoy my watch, the one that I've got, and I don't really want another one, to be honest. I'm quite happy with the one that I have. I thoroughly, like I say, enjoy it, and it makes me happy. So, are you going to climb the tree for us? Climb the tree for us. Do it. Do it. Look at the tree and climb it. Come on. Come on. You know you want to. Yes, you're looking at it. Come on. Up you go. Ah, she had a brief thought about it, didn't she? She kind of looked at it as if to say, maybe I should go up the tree and have a sort of indulge these people, but then she realized, no, that's just too much effort, and so she stopped and didn't go up the tree, which is very sad for us, because it would have been nice to have a cheetah climbing a tree. I've seen her in trees before. Funny enough, there used to be a tree near her den that she climbed every now and then, and she used to peer out, and it's been, I think a lot of you would have seen that footage that we recorded that day, but she might go up this one. Let's just have a little look. If she doesn't go up it, she'll scent mark it. It's going to be either one that's going to happen. This one's got a nice little sort of kind of V in it, and sometimes when it comes to kind of climbing trees for cheetah, they're looking for a certain sort of shape of a tree, and it's not too high, but something else has caught her attention. She's sniffing around there. I wonder if another cheetah's been here. Look, you see how she's smelling? She's really kind of giving a good sniff to the grass there, and is now rolling in it. I wonder if another cheetah female has walked through here, because that's exactly where she started sniffing, and she's now rolling around and basically marking it herself by rubbing her face. She's putting her body all over that same piece of grass, and I wouldn't be surprised she stands up and urinates on it before she leaves this area. But definitely something piqued her interest in terms of smell, and now she is thoroughly making sure that her scent is all over that piece of grass. So either it's a male that's marked there and she wants to come into an estrus and start marking, or it's a female that's been through there, which would, I suppose, makes sense. I don't know if there's been any males in this area of late. I really am not sure, but she theoretically should be starting to come into estrus cycles. She lost her cubs all the way back in August, September, somewhere there. August, I think it was. When did I leave the Mara? No, July. July is when she lost the cubs. And so she should be coming into estrus cycles, or should have already, and been mating. So it'll be interesting to see what she's actually up to. But she's definitely marking a bit of territory. Did you get a fright with yourself? Funny cat. There she goes. Are you going to go up the tree? You look like you want to go up the tree. Sorry, Louise. We're going to wait for 2 seconds to see if she goes up. I know I'm supposed to send you guys to Jamie, but I want to see if the cheetah climbs the tree. Go up the tree. Go, go, go. No, scent marking. Sniffing about. Clearly something of interest has marked this tree. I would imagine it would be another cheetah. No, there she goes. Off she goes. All right, we're going to leave her there as she bounds away into the darkness. And while we do that, we're going to carry on towards the road to try and get ourselves out of this thicket as well. Well, not thicket, but out of this sort of area and onto an actual decent road. And while we do that, to send you back to Jamie, who's still keeping up with the Incomes.
There we go. We've managed to catch up with the Nkuhuma Pride, and whatever happened with those impala, I think it was very brief. I don't even think that they've bothered to go and see if they can stalk them. I haven't heard any sounds of impala in distress or alarm calling. So the lions at the moment seem to be a little bit at a loss as to what they really want to do. Some of them have moved into a very dense area around the Gallagher Lodge. It's basically a tambuti thicket, and they seem to be making their way in there. The rest of them are on the road in front of us. I'm going to reposition now. I actually put myself here because I thought they were going to come and have another drink at the waterhole, but they haven't done that. So let's just shuffle around so we can get a better view. We'll get a bit closer to the others in a bit. There we go. I'm just going to try to see where they're off to. They might be having a drink in the puddle up ahead. I think that they are. Okay. There we go. This was the lioness that was next to us when we first went to reposition. She's now caught up with the rest of them. She looks exhausted. It's exhausting work digesting all that food. If you've ever had a long, very large meal, and you're exhausted at the end of it and you just want to go and sleep because all of the blood is in your digestive tract, that's what these lions feel like right now. They cannot focus on anything else. Lou says that that's how she felt after Trishala's curry. Trishala very kindly made us the most delectable curry. Oh, it was yummy. It was so yummy. So I completely understand where Lou is coming from. I think actually I went home shortly after that and was asleep within about 2 seconds. So I understand exactly what Lou means. Oof. Adele, it's always a tricky one. Now, Adele wants to know how you tell the difference between a full or a pregnant lion. It's only in the late stages of pregnancy that you really start to see the lioness showing. The pregnancy tends to sit a bit further back than a food baby. So it's back sort of towards between the back legs. There's a bit more of a bulge. At the moment these lionesses look as though they've swallowed a beach ball. And when she gets up, then you'll be able to see it's sort of a very clear round curve. They've got proper curved bellies. But when a lioness is pregnant, the skin sort of, or the stomach towards the back legs, hangs a lot lower. So it's not quite the same shape. Now, I always find it very difficult, particularly when you're dealing with a lion that is full, because of course then they can actually, you can't quite work out whether or not it's a pregnant lion or not. Yeah, there we go. There's one that's coming along here. Hopefully she'll give us a side view of her belly. There you can see. It droops very clearly down in the middle. It's very round. Where with a pregnant lioness, it sits further, the bulge sits further towards the back legs. I think that's the one with is that the one with the bite marks? No. Yes, it is her, I think, judging by the way that she's walking. One of them's got 2 puncture wounds on the back of her leg that she's had for quite a while. Okay, I'm going to reposition because they are drinking, which I would like to see. So I'm just going to scoot around. I might go. There we go. I'll just duck down out of the way. I'm not blocking the other lioness, so she should be fine. Bit of an awkward angle, but there we go. So this lioness is the one that has already quenched her thirst. Then the other two have moved to Hosanna's puddle over there. And that's where they're drinking from. So they haven't actually gone to the Gallagher waterhole itself. They're contentedly sipping away from a slightly fresher puddle. Paula, lions won't really vomit if they eat too much. They don't have the same concept of too much in the same way that you and I might do. They cannot eat to the point of vomiting, but they will vomit if they've eaten something that doesn't quite agree with them. Something perhaps like for example, like a hoof or a piece of bone that's a little bit too large to digest, and at which point they will actually vomit. What they'll do is they usually go and they eat a little bit of grass, and then they vomit it up. Not so long ago, we actually saw some of Hosanna's vomit. You know, that also makes sense. I'm sorry to go back to this. I've just realized something. We saw, when we started off our morning, when we saw Hosanna on foot, we started with a pile of vomit. And it was only afterwards that we realized that he'd had a narrow escape from the lion. And I've just realized, of course he vomited. He was probably absolutely terrified. Oh, shame. That didn't occur to me at the time, in the sort of the surprise of learning that Hosanna had had a close encounter with a lion. I didn't even think or connect the two. Sorry, completely different train of thought. It just, that conversation about vomiting triggered that memory. Okay, lions, now you're back on the side of me. All right. Adele, lions definitely do want to drink more when they've had a big meal. They're actually quite capable of going for a day or two without water, but they prefer not to. So if there's water available, they will drink, and they will definitely drink more when they are full-bellied. It just helps the digestive process. Look at the lion on the right. That's the one with that's purple eye, we call her. And it's easy to see why. I have no idea what happened to her. So the one that we're missing is the one with the big scar on her hip. And of course, the rest of the sub-adults. Hello, pretty girl. What have you seen? Listening intently. They're quite active for very fat lions. She's going to go and come and sit with the rest of the pride. Once she moves past us, then we'll move a little bit so that we can see the rest of them. And head rub. Now, Shannon, you want to know why the big cats don't have slit pupils like domestic cats do? I have to be honest, I'm not 100% sure exactly what the reason is for that. Which way are you going? Are you going that way or are you coming this way? I'm actually not 100% sure. I mean, we can, let's have a nice close look at their eyes. Hello, Amber. And we can have a look and think about it. I wonder if it's not to do... I mean, cat's night vision is... Enjoy, guys. Cat's night vision is supreme, but, I mean, that applies to domestic cats as well as to the big cats. I mean, remember that there are some differences. Although they're all part of the felid family, they are a completely different genus. So perhaps it's just that there's been an entirely separate evolutionary design to their eyes, which has led to them having round pupils that expand in a different way to that of the slit-like pupils of a domestic cat. Not 100% sure. I'll look it up. I don't think there's much information on it. I mean, the slit seems to work just as well as the tiny dot for reducing the amount of light, because of course that's the way that all eyes and the design of an eye allows it to compensate for changes in light. If it's very bright, then obviously the opening is very, very small, so that not too much light goes in and overstimulates the photoreceptors. But if it is very dark, then obviously the opening is as wide as possible to allow for as much light as possible. But both big cats and domestic cats have exceptional night vision. I'm trying to think about cheetah's pupils. No, cheetah have also got dots. They don't have slit eyes or slit pupils. Whatever the explanation, it'll never be as odd as the rectangular design of a goat's pupil or a mongoose. That's disconcerting. And we're back to flat-ish, flattish. Now, talking about the night vision of a lion, imagine how amazing it would be to be able to see in the dark in the way that they do. Now, of course, it comes with its swings and roundabouts, so we are able to see in greater detail in full, sort of an almost full color spectrum, or what we think of as a full color spectrum. Of course, there's other colors to see. We don't have UV vision in the same way some insects do. But now lions, of course, don't. They can see color, but not many colors, and most of it is sort of very dull in their vision, their daytime vision. They don't see the same detail that we do. But at night, it's an entirely different story, and their night vision is essentially the same, almost the same as their day vision, which of course allows them to capitalize on the coat of darkness that is lent to the African wilderness when the sun has set. It's almost like she's listening to bird sounds and the frogs. I often wish that, I've spoken about this before on multiple occasions. Oh, we're going back again now. Okay. On multiple occasions, I've mentioned that I would love to be able to live in an animal's brain for a day, just to experience what it must be like to be them, to hear in the way that they do, to have that. Imagine being able to hear things in the way that they hear things. Imagine what she's experiencing of the world right now. And that applies to smell as well. So I'm just going to see what she's up to. She's lying down again. So she's smelling every single animal that's been past this area since, well, probably since the rain. Oh, just hold on one moment. I just want to listen to the impala alarm calls. I can hear some things. Oh, it's a male being silly. It's rutting, or trying to rut, which isn't going to work very well because none of the females are in estrus. But imagine how cool it would be an elephant for a day and feel what it feels like to have a trunk. Be a lion for a day and know what it feels like to be as powerful, or a leopard and be as agile and still experience what it's like to have a completely different foot structure, with all of your tarsals and carpals extended. I would love to be able to do that. It, of course, is a pipe dream and will never ever happen, but it would be very cool if it did. Okay, since we're having a joyful drive with Tristan and myself, time for you to tell me which animal, if you could only choose one, which animal you'd like to enter the mind of and experience just for 24 hours. You can send that through on hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, alternatively in the YouTube comments chat stream. What animal would you be if you could be in the mind of an animal? Not you be the animal, but just for a day. And you'd get to experience everything in the way that they do. I wonder if it would be very disconcerting if when you return to your human state, you'd feel this powerful desire to, if you were an elephant, swing your nose backwards and forwards. It would take a while. I suppose that the animal spent its whole life learning to be coordinated. Anyway, let's not overcomplicate this. That is very cool. Lily, who is 7 years old, is on it. She has answered us. She's let us know that she would like to be either a fish eagle or a cheetah. Imagine soaring, Lily, taking to the skies and feeling what it feels like to be able to fly and have wings. Or maybe feel what it feels like to be a cheetah and run in the way that they do. To be able to reach those speeds using your own legs would be absolutely awesome. I think those are very good choices, Lily. I agree with them completely. I didn't even think of what it must be like to be a bird in my conversation now. Imagine being a bird. You'd have such good eyesight. You could spot all sorts of things from the air. Here we go. Lion has got tired of being on its own. Alice has said that she would like to be a black mamba. Okay, Alice. Fair enough, fair enough. Gosh, what an interesting experience that would be. You would definitely be able to taste smells and feel vibrations in a way that we're completely unaware of. And you'd have the power of movement. Moving like a snake must be an amazing feeling. Sinuous. Craig and I did see a snake earlier. Looked like a little spitting cobra. But it was so quick. Rocky Knight says that he would like to be his own dog. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough, Rocky. I imagine that that would be quite an experience as well. I don't know what type of dog you have, but either way, that sense of smell and having a tail that wags when you're happy. I don't know if your dog is allowed on the furniture or not, but it must be quite nice to be a dog for a day. You know, you get up, go and sniff things, go and lie down on the couch or the bed or the floor, depending upon where you're allowed to be. Lie in a patch of sun. Yep. Might actually be quite nice to be somebody's pet cat as well. Somebody feeds you. Not that we don't get fed at camp, so I really shouldn't complain. Well, I have marvelous news. News that will astound and delight you. News that will send you into a paroxysm of joy. Brent is out and about, and he's with Tlalamba.
Indeed we are. We have found the little princess atop a termitaria, waiting for Mom. We were quite confident she would be in this area close to where the kill was yesterday morning, even though I think Tingana got the male's share last night and Tundi's moved off. There's no reason for Tlalamba to wander too far, so took us a while to find her. We checked many different termite mounds. We checked in the little dry riverbed. We checked on First Rock. But eventually we found her not far away, up towards the crest, on a lovely termite mound. And of course, she was looking at us earlier. She has now decided we're not that interesting. Maybe we should try to move around to the other side. Hey, Dave, what do you think? Of course, little nonsense. looking quite content to snooze, but we all know how playful she can be, so we are hoping that if we spend a bit of time with her, she will hopefully get up and go for a wander. Brent, hello Brent, it's Brent speaking. Brent says this has been a cat-filled drive. Well, indeed it has. Oh, show him, look at it, it's so sweet when it's sleeping. Very, very relaxed little kitty. She must be absolutely loving this weather due to the fact that the biting flies and other creatures like that are not going to be giving her too much hassle in this cool weather. Magic Dragon Wizard says, since this is the area where Thandi leaves Tlalamba regularly, do we think that this might possibly be the area that Thandi will sequest off to her as territory when she does decide to leave Tlalamba alone completely? It's possible. I think it's quite strongly possible that this centre of Torchwood might become little Tlalamba's Tlalamba's hood, so to speak. Oh, shame. Come on, it's time to go wandering. We're going to go walk to First Rock. I want to see a leopard on the rock. Are you going to listen to me, madam? No? You're going to carry on sleeping for now. I see. Hopefully she does wander down towards First Rock. There's quite a few puddles on top of the rock. She might head there for a little drink. And there are some impala with some babies not too far away from First Rock as well. Shame. I wonder where Mom is, and Tingana as well. I heard a report that quarantine was around as well. Alana says, don't boss the little leopard around. Alana, I doubt I could even if I wanted to. It looks like she has her mind made up, and what she wants to do is snooze. She's probably had a very busy day. Fiddling around this area. What have you spotted, Tlalamba? Nothing. Okay, well, it definitely has been a day full of cats, so let's go back to have a look at the Nkohuma Pride.
Well, you know, thinking about it, we might have struggled a little bit with our various gremlins that have been attacking us, but we have managed the big cat trifecta this afternoon on the Sunset Safari, so it can't be all that bad. And very shortly I'm going to leave the Nkohumas and make my way towards the hyena den. Now, it is a struggle always when you know that lions are going to get moving, but they are quite large, so it could take them a while, and I do have stuff I need to do at the hyena den, so I need to head there. I'm hoping, against hope, that they're going to be out and about before it gets too dark. And the lions are thoroughly content now. They've had some water, they've got full bellies, couldn't be better. Adele, you'd think so, wouldn't you, those full bellies? Adele wants to know if full bellies make hunting harder for them. I think they must have some effect. You know, maybe even if it just takes a little bit off their top speed. But to be honest, I have seen lions run at full tilt with full bellies, so it doesn't seem to hold them back too much. It might make them more reluctant to go hunting unless something strolls right into their midst. They are less likely to put in the extra effort. They can just spend time digesting. They don't need to stress too much about a meal. But you never know with lions. All of the big cats are opportunists. So if something did happen, they would be well prepared to hunt, and it wouldn't hold them back immensely. I imagine it might make jumping a little bit harder. Oh, imagine jumping with a belly that's roughly 10% of your body weight. Sounds exhausting to me. Probably quite stressful on the joints as well. There we go. On that note, speaking of body weight, Nancy wants to know how much a fully grown lioness would weigh. Around about 130, 140 odd kilograms. A big, really big lioness might top the scales with a full belly at 150. So that's just under 300 pounds or so would be the full weight of a lioness. They're big animals. They are really very, very solid. They are pure muscle. Leopards are also quite large. They're a lot more compact than you expect them to be. So even a tiny little leopard like Tundi probably weighs around about 40 kilograms or so. But that extra weight means that they are somewhat muscle-bound. They're not quite as fast as a leopard when it comes to short bursts of speed, or quite as agile. They're strong. Alrighty, I'm going to leave our lions. I'm going to mosey on along towards the hyena den. Tristan is experiencing the best part of the Mara, which of course is an evening storm and downpour. Let's go see how he feels about it.
Well, we're in the rain, and it's starting to really tank down now. We did have some hyenas that were with us, but with the way that the rain is falling at the moment, it's going to be very, very tricky to see anything. You can see James is trying to scan about, trying to see where they've gone, but they've just disappeared out of sight into the rain, and I'm trying to just scan with my spotlights to see if I can help him. There they are there, James, so I don't know if you can come forward. They're somewhere in the darkness there. You can just see eyes every now and then. Let me try and find them again. To the left, I think, James. There. You can just see their eyes kind of in the darkness. So use a bit of a spotlight just to help James for a bit. But you can see hyenas that are kind of just creeping along through the darkness. Let's just try and go forward a little bit. It really isn't easy when it's raining like this. You can see it's kind of coming down quite a bit at the moment. So we're just trying to slowly kind of edge our way forward. And haven't really put our covers down correctly yet because it just came out of nowhere. But I think we're going to get absolutely hammered by rain on our way home tonight because there is a very big dark black cloud to our left hand side, and there's lightning hammering down from that side. So I think it's going to be a pretty uncomfortable journey home tonight. The problem is with these things is I can't see anything when this windscreen is up, so I'm trying to kind of look around. Oh, these hyenas have gone far. They're in the distance over there, so they're kind of milling about on the side here at the moment. They're just sort of looking for food, I would imagine, and to cause them a bit of a nuisance. You can see this rain is all sort of piling off the roof at the moment. Sorry, James, I don't know. There they are there. I don't know if your infrared can only reach so far, the lights, and so it's pretty tricky in these kind of situations when the hyenas walk away from us. It makes life very, very difficult, and poor James is trying to get the best that he can, but it really isn't easy at all. Now the hyenas will be probably quite happy because there's a lot of wildebeest skeletons that are lying around, or dried out wildebeest that have desiccated, and so with this kind of rain it will just moisten them up a bit, and there'll be a few skins and bits that they'll be able to feed on and bite on and kind of chew on and just do hyena-ish things really, and so that's going to be quite nice for them. Pretty sure that's what they're doing, is they're just going to mill about and chew on things, and hopefully then if Kikenya makes a kill they will benefit off that, not hopefully for us. Tom, for the simple reason is this, because you want to know why my windscreen wipers are off, because if I do that, like we normally drive and fold the windscreen, well, then you get what is called a massive accident and the windscreen breaks the windscreen wipers, and so we've done that a few times and broken them, and that's why we do not have windscreen wipers, unfortunately, because otherwise you break them every time you push the window down, and it's far more pleasant to drive without a windscreen up during dry periods. And so now it's just going to be a game of trying to stare through water droplets as we drive home, which is a fun game. It's my favorite game. Not really at all. The problem is I'm going to have to close this all up, because I can't have any forward momentum at all without... Yes, I need everything actually. I need a boat is what I need, and a dry suit, and then I'll be happy. And then we won't get wet. The problem is obviously the equipment gets wet. You see, I can't drive at all, because otherwise it's funneling straight in towards James, and his stuff's going to get all damp as well. So we're going to have to close this car up. Unfortunately, we can't carry on like this, otherwise we're just going to get very, very, very wet. So while I do that, while I cover up the car and get ourselves sorted out, let's send you back across to Brent and Clalamba.
Clalamba is still sitting in the same spot. She has not moved. Isn't she absolutely gorgeous, that little darling Clalamba? And so I am hoping she does get up.
Sorry about that, everyone. Apparently Brent's disappeared off your screens. That's okay, I'm here. I'm around. And we are heading towards the hyena den. So, everybody, I think let's just keep very hopeful that they are out and about. Oh, goodness gracious. Oof, there's something else blowing back in, I feel. It definitely feels as though there's more of the cold front passing over us. It was quite a substantial front. It covered quite a bit of the country. I see. Oh, those are old hyena tracks. I'm hoping that wherever Corky and Pretty are, they've had a good meal. They were hungry. Well, Corky was hungry. I actually haven't seen Pretty. Keep thinking I'm seeing hyena tracks in the dirt. So no, not 100% sure. Maybe I'm just really hopeful. Because there's more rain coming and it's going to come soon. It's going to be with us very shortly, I think. Which at least will make me feel better about having the roof on. Definitely more justified. Isn't it crazy, Critter? Crazy says, oh, Critter, sorry. I say crazy. The Koki Franklin calling in there. Critter says that it's amazing just how much it's greened up with just that little bit of rain. It started with the rain on... I really noticed the difference. Look, the trees were going green, but I really noticed the difference on... When was it? When was it that we had that big... We had the morning off and the big rainstorm the night before? Was it Wednesday? Was it Thursday? I can't remember. Was it just... Craig, what did you say? Was it Thursday? Wednesday, no, it was Wednesday. That's right. It was Wednesday. Yes, so on Wednesday there was a massive downpour, and that's when I noticed that even the next day it seemed that much greener. I say massive, it was 20 mils in 2 hours, which is quite a lot of rain. I was expecting with this front, I was expecting a bit more rain than we received. I don't think we received very much at all. In fact, I even promised this morning that I would look to see how much rain we received, and now I don't think I've had any updates. Where's the rain group? No. Oh, I have. We received... Oh, hold on. Yes, I have a rain group on WhatsApp. I have all the groups. 12 mils. I was spot on. Ha! That's what I said this morning. Spot on. We had 12 mils yesterday. I'm very proud of myself. That was exact. For once, I got something right with the weather. Alright, we're just going to make our way into the den. While we do, let's go back across to Brent. He's managed to find some signal with Tlalamba.
Well, I'm not sure what happened there. We didn't move an inch, and the signal just decided to disappear. But we're back, and we're still with the little Princess Tlalamba, and hoping she's going to get moving. She did spot some impala not too far off. However, they weren't interesting enough for her. She decided to stay on top of her termite mound. Adele is wondering, what is the most skilled hunter of the cats, lions, leopards, or cheetahs? Adele, they're all equally skilled in their own right. They have very different tactics when it comes to hunting, and it would be unfair to compare them. The leopard are the best ambush hunters, and they will generally only make their play at whatever they have been stalking. From about under 5 meters is when a leopard leaps, and they're very quick. They do about 24 meters per second at that point, and they cannot keep it up for very long. Lions, of course, big and powerful, but also ambush hunters, but they can keep their speed going for a little bit longer, and they will tend to charge from a bit further away. And of course, cheetah are the kings of the speed, and they are able to chase for long distances at very high speeds. So they all have very different techniques and strategies, so you cannot actually compare their hunting prowess. So it's very, very different. You can see how little Tlalamba is still listening to everything that's going on. You watch her ears moving. But alas, we were hoping she might go try hunt those impala, but unfortunately she decided not to. Lida would like to know, how will Tlalamba know when she's supposed to be independent and on her own? Well, her mom will just keep snarling at her, maybe even actually smack her around a bit, and that is the time to no longer be a mommy's girl and step out on your own. And as we've discussed in depth recently, that time is coming soon. Within the next couple of months, she will become an independent leopard. But for now, mom is still providing the meals. That's not to say she doesn't hunt a lot when she's left by herself like this. Mostly it'll be lots of little small things, scrub hares, francolins, squirrels, dwarf mongoose. And occasionally she might get lucky and catch something as large as a duiker or even a baby impala. But for now it looks like she's going back to snooze behind that chimney. She popped her head up again. Keeps looking in the direction of where that herd of impala is. We can't see them. I think they've moved. Oh no, there they are. Darby, see this terminalia? There, so zoom now. A little bit to the right. Keep going slowly right. And zoom there. You can pick up some, there we go, a little bit up. You can see them moving through the bush. And so that's where the impala are. However, she is not showing any particular interest just yet. She might be waiting for it to get dark. Or she might just still be well enough fed from the last few days. Oh, back to doo-doos. Very tired kitty. Achoo, achoo, achoo. So we've just heard from Tristan up in the Masai Mara. There's too much lightning around, so he has been forced to power down, unfortunately. So we're probably not going to see Tristy again. Well, you never know. He might find something in the wet on the way home, and the lightning might abate. Those storms can come in very quickly and also dissipate very quickly. Heads up again. Can't see anything down there. But she is a little busybody. Hello Lily, who's 7 years old. Lily would like to know whether Columba will miss her mom when she has to leave. Maybe for a little bit, Lily, but then she has to learn how to be a big girl and hunt by herself. Can hear some bushveld rain frogs starting to make some noise. You can also hear rattling testicular calling in the background. Kiss, kiss, run away. Kiss, kiss, run away. But the little Columba is not showing interest in anything. Carol 6 would like to know, what, in my opinion, what are the chances of Tristan joining the Marshmallow Club? High, Carol, high. Very high. I think Tristan's going to get stuck. Maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow. A little bit lower than this time last year, because the small rains in the Mara haven't been nearly as big as they were last year, or earlier this year, should I say, rather. And we must remember that earlier this year, it was the most rain the Masai Mara had had in 60 years. What are you doing, silly cat? It's keeping one eye on us. Such a pretty little kitty, the little Kalama. Nature Girl is wondering what markings we use to identify it. Well, normally it's spot patterns, which are the last line of spots above the whiskers. But with Columba, I just look at her. I don't really look at for any distinguishing markings, particularly in this area. She's the only leopard of that age, but I can show you when I talk about spot patterns, what I mean. So a spot pattern is the last line of spots above the whiskers there. So Columba's got very distinct she have 4-5. So you always read the spots from the right. Was it a 4-4? I need to have a closer look. I actually haven't really looked at Columba's spot pattern before. We can normally just spot who she is by where she is, and she's quite distinct looking. Her head shape is quite different from that of her mom's. Okay, well, we're going to sit with the little Columba a little bit longer. Let's send you across to Jamie to see what she's up to now.
It's a hyena! Do miracles never cease? It's a hyena. Hooray, hooray, break out the streamers and the whatever else you happen to want to use. It's a hyena. It's not the hyenas I'm looking for, but it's a hyena nevertheless. I'll take what I can get at this point. It's neither pretty nor corky. I was hoping that they were going to be at the den. They weren't. Let's see if it has a drink quickly. I'll go backwards a little bit. Looks like it's been lying in mud all day, so I don't think it's going to have a drink here. Might go back into the mud. Oopsie. No, I have to turn around. Hold on. That's very pretty. Right, where are you off to, hyena? Are you going to go and fetch Corky and Pretty for me and take them to the den? It would be nice if you would be so obliging. Oh man, if only things... No, where are we going? We're going down here. You look quite full, actually. Oh dear, we've changed direction. We're now going into a drainage line. So goodbye, hyena. It was nice. It was fun. Might go to the den though. It's looking like it's going to go in that direction. Or if you can't see it anymore, they could just see it. Okay, let's go around. We'll meet it on the other side. And we'll see if it goes to the den site. And maybe its presence there will perk up Corky and Pretty. And hello to Zach, who is 9 years old and is wondering about when hyenas move their den site. Did I hear that correctly, Lou? Cool. So Zach wants to know if when they move dens, do they do it at night? Yes, usually, but they can move during the day as well. So it's most often they'll move at night, and if the cubs are very small, then the mothers will carry them. If they're not very small, then the mothers will get them to walk with them. It's obviously a time when the cubs are very, very vulnerable to other predators. It's quite dangerous for them because they're still tiny and they don't run very fast, and there's nowhere really that they can escape to. So it can be quite dangerous for them moving dens. Oh, it's going the other way. It's going up towards Pangolin Track. Let's see, we might still meet on the road. I'll see how far my vehicle signal stretches. Now, what does also happen, believe it or not, is that hyena cubs are taken on little expeditions where the mother, or it's sometimes a mother with several different cubs, not necessarily just her own, will lead the cubs, and the cubs will go with the mother and they'll explore a little bit further outside of the den site, and then the mother will lead them back to the den once their day is done. So kind of like a school field trip. But that happens when the cubs are a little bit older than the ones that are at the Juma clan's den. No, we're going to the den. Just seen it going across that way. Woohoo! Well, wonders never cease. I saw Tsaka here this morning, which was interesting. Without Corky or Pretty, he was out here playing with the cubs. I was quite surprised. I wonder what I saw going that way then, because it clearly wasn't this hyena. Tsaka is a very popular male hyena. Lou's right, there is something sort of captain of the rugby team-esque about him. Which way are we going? This hyena will pop into view in a moment. I just had to do some shuffling because of the roof. Are we going to go to the den? Come on, go find Corky. Please go find Corky. I'm rapidly running out of light for what I need to do. Okay, cool. Let's catch up. I'm just going to do something quickly before I do it in the presence of the cubs and give them a fright. There we go. They won't like that very much. No animal likes the sound of Velcro. Apparently including humans, according to the ladies in final control. That's it. Off we go. Well done, muddy hyena. You've obviously had a good day. Wallowing. Now the lovely thing about a hyena den is that it really is the social hub of the clan. Hyenas that have no cubs, males, whatever it happens to be, will come and visit the den on a regular basis, particularly when there's high-ranked individuals with cubs at the den. Okay, let's see what happens, because I might have got, as you know, I can't sit at the den when there's no females there, but it's really tricky because I know that at any point Corky and Pretty could arrive, so it's difficult. I feel comfortable approaching when there's another adult here though. Except it's going the wrong way. No, it's coming back. Please don't just walk straight past the den. I will sob. I will weep. There's no sign of the adults. Let's just see which side this hyena goes. Okay, it is going to go to that entrance. Alright, hold on. That's cool, Jonathan. I'm really glad to hear that. Jonathan tells us that he now has sympathy for hyenas. They certainly deserve a bit more respect than they are often given. There's more to them than the oversimplification that is foisted upon them. Hey, girl. Let's go here. Hello. Good morning. You are a welcome sight for sore eyes. But I cannot do what I need to do with you. As lovely as you are. Sniff, sniff. Sniff, sniff, sniff. I'm just going to take my earpiece out for 1 second. I thought I heard an impala alarm call, but it must be the wind's blowing a little bit. I can't hear properly. I was hoping that the presence of this hyena might just encourage Corky and Pretty to make a reappearance. Wherever they are, I suspect that they're eating, given the size of the belly on this individual. Having a sniff around to see whether or not this den is still active. But a completely different approach to the approach of a mother that is coming to fetch the cubs. No real interest shown in calling, which of course makes sense. Got nothing to call for. Sniffing a little bit further. Let's see. The cubs are encouraged to come out. You know, it makes me think about what I've just said about cubs moving den sites. Ah, thank you, Crystal. This is apparently Causa. Not 100% au fait with the males yet. Honestly, haven't had the time to sit and memorize them. So I know it's Saka, and I know Luca, because he's very easy to identify. And I know Comet, but I'll have to make sure that I learn Causa, because I didn't actually know it was him. Thank you. Causa? Where, oh where are the mothers of these cubs? While we wait to see whether or not they emerge out of the growing gloom, let's go across to Tlalam, now that Brent is prepared to be able to film in the dark.
Yes, we're just putting on our infrared lights. Don't need them just yet, but it's always better to be prepared. As you can see, she still has not moved much at all. Looking very happy on top of her termitaria, waiting patiently for Mom. Maurice is wondering, do any of the big cats shed their claws like the domestic cats? They will lose claws when they are fighting or hunting, and they do grow back, so I suppose they do shed, but not quite the same as the smaller cat species. Where is Tandy, Tlalamba? Where's your mom? Why is she not bringing you your dinner? So, from what I heard yesterday, unfortunately for Tandy and Tlalamba, Tingana arrived during the day at some point and made off with that little impala kill they had, so it wasn't a big kill to start off with. What are you doing? You're giving yourself a little clean before wandering off, or are you going to keep snoozing? Are we going to flop down, or are we going to get up? Oh, What do you think, David? I think flop. Yes, I don't think she's too interested in doing too much. Ngora is wondering how far away from being a fully grown adult is little Clumber. No, she's still got quite a bit of growing to do. She'll probably only reach her full size at just over 2 years, 2.5 years old, maybe even grow all the way to 3. Oh, she's interested in something again. Almost looks... Is Tundi possibly coming back, or is an impala inadvertently wandered up to her termite mound? Just try and swing through. Yes, I thought there was a big tree somewhere I didn't want to drive into. No, she's lost interest in whatever it was again. What are you looking at? I don't see anything. That's about the most movement she's made all afternoon. Now, we're probably going to leave shortly and just see what she does. We do have infrared capabilities, and I've got a feeling she's not going to do too much. Yeah, we're about to switch into infrared. Zoop. Okay, as it is getting dark. What are you doing with your tail, Tupid? Why are you biting your own tail? No one will play with you, so you bite your own tail. Isn't that pretty? What are you going to do now? You're going to curl up into another ball? Yes, that's what we're going to do. We're going to curl up and give us the cold shoulder. So while she gives us the cold shoulder, let's send you back to Jamie.
Well, speaking of the cold shoulder, well, the good news is that the hyenas they are not playing ball at the moment. It's interesting. I don't know if it's the late summer hours or what it is, but we're just not seeing them as often as we were around the den. I suppose the cubs are a little bit older, so they don't need feeding as often as they did when they were little. Alright, well, it was worth a try. I'll pop back if I see any sign of activity around, but otherwise I'm going to go backtrack Causa where he came from and see whether or not he perhaps got lucky and maybe Hosanna's around there and that's why Causa's so full. We'll go find out. It's really a shot in the dark, but we haven't got anything else to go on. The ground is so hard at the moment, the tracks are very difficult to see. It's really all we have right now. Tristan's gone. I can't go much further than this area. The hyena den's about as far as I can go before I go over a dip and then my signal disappears. So we'll go for it. We will approach it with great enthusiasm. Actually, you know what I am going to do is, what time is it? I might make my way back towards those lions and we'll spend the rest of the afternoon with them. I'm pretty sure I can get back to them in time. Shall we give it a go? Let's give it a go. We have two only hopes, and one is more secure than the other. Alright, let us leave low range, and off we go. Cool. Alrighty. We've got our flare all pepped and ready to go. Safari Sami, no. It's one of the nicer aspects of hyena society, although I will counter that with a flip side in a moment. But no, male hyenas will not harm cubs that are not their own. It would... Oh, a late explosion. It would completely counteract the way that hyena society works, where the males actually have to be very friendly and very approachable towards females in order for them to have a chance to mate. So killing cubs does not happen really with males in hyena society, but females do kill cubs that are not their own and are not related to them. Nobody quite knows why they do it. Some do it more than others, but that does happen. So the flip side, instead of being killed by the males, they are sometimes killed by the females, particularly where a low-ranked cub oversteps its boundaries and in some way traumatizes a high-ranked cub, and the mother just steps in and that's the end of the little low-ranked cub. It's terribly tragic. I haven't seen it happen often. Fortunately, never seen it happen with the Juma clan. Hello, Impalalas. Coming through. I'm going to try and get to the lions before the end of the drive. Are there any stations still within Kahumas? Yeah, A-firm. If you go to on the northern side of Voyatella Dam and you take that little link road that runs to the west, they were right there. No, negative. It is southeast of where they were, but if you take the road that runs north of the big Voyatella Dam and you go west from there, let's try this again. What's your position now? Okay, copy, perfect. Before you get to the Voya's main exit, you take that road that runs to the left. I'm making my way as well. I'm coming from the main access road. Shame, the poor dude, he can't find them. I think I see his lights. I'll give him a hand. See, we're gonna kill two birds with one stone. We'll help a fellow friend, and we will go back to the lions. Hold on, everyone. We're gonna make it. We're gonna get there before the end of drive. Okay. How's it, Mish? Yeah. Cool. Enjoy. Have a good evening. And see you later. 13 minutes to get there. I think we can do it in under 5, to be quite honest. I really think we can fly up my nose. Alright, so back in the day we used to, hold on, I was going to say I used to pick up the final control ladies from where the final control used to be, which was away from our main camp, and I used to give them countdowns to time when they had to leave the building and come out to the road, and I used to pride myself on getting it exact, whether it was 3 minutes and 15 seconds or whether it was 40 seconds. I used to count all the way down until I got there, and I always managed to get it right, probably because I was the one doing the counting down and therefore could bias it completely into the right direction, or just stretch it out slightly to make it fit, and of course inducing complete panic for the ladies who were desperately trying to shut everything down. Everything's attacking me. Dung beetles, flies. It's been 2 minutes. I said I'd do it in under 5. I rate I will do it in, if they're still where they were, in the next 35. Oh, he stopped there. Never mind. I'll take that out of the equation. I can no longer give an accurate time, for it is no longer dependent purely upon my actions. I cannot account for the speed of others. Okay, there they are. Alrighty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Have I feel like I've missed something. Because I said there were 4 adults and 1 sub-adult, but there's 6 lions here. What did I miss? Who did I not count? Did I miss one of the sub-adults? Or was it all 5 lions? Well, there's 6 here now. There were only 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going crazy. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, there's 6 lions here. And by the way that sub-adult on the left there, Craig, ran to greet the one that's just behind her, yes, that one over there, it was with great excitement and affection. Did I miss something? That would be so nice if it were a full Nkahuma reunion. That would be really lovely, but I think I just miscounted. I don't know how. I really don't remember seeing 6 lionesses. Maybe one was lying up somewhere and we just didn't spot her. Oh, grumpy, grumpy. You got your claws in my skin there. Not very pleasant at all. Oh, flop. I do feel as though I'm losing my mind slightly. I don't feel like a lioness has emerged from out of nowhere, and yet. Thank you. Child of the Universe is helping me out with this. Apparently there really were only 5 this morning and this afternoon. So I'm not going completely crazy. I thought I was going a little bit, losing my mind a little bit. There were definitely only 5. So where did the 6th lioness come from? I have absolutely no idea. That is a complete mystery to me. She's also quite full, but not as full as the others. And where's the rest of the pride? Pookie, you noticed that the one's belly was not quite as full as the others. Yes, that I think is the one that just came in. It's now dark, which means that identifying them becomes a little bit harder. Or at least certain individuals. I'm really hoping it's going to be all of the lions reuniting, but there doesn't seem to be any sign of that happening. Just the one lioness that's just suddenly popped out of nowhere. Now I've lost one again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think the other one's gone behind the pan. That's so interesting. The lioness with the blind eye. You can barely see any reflection of the infrared. Is that the one with the blind eye? I think it is. Must be. Because there's absolutely no response from the pupil there. She is a bit grumpy. She keeps snarling at the sub-adult who's just full of the joys of youth. Seems a little bit unpleasant. Oh, here comes another lioness. Not another. I mean, the one that was a bit lagging a bit behind. Is she going to come and... They really are not what I remembered in terms of the affection the Nkuhumas used to show to each other. Everyone's so snarly. We used to watch this pride greet each other with sheer joy. And now they're all sort of... I mean, they still lie together and rub heads, but everybody's a bit on edge. Shame, ladies. It's been a traumatic few months. Child of the Universe, I don't know if it has been made official by anyone. I don't suppose there's anyone who makes it official. But yes, I would say that Djuma would now be considered to be a solid, firm part of the Evoker male's territory. Absolutely. They've encountered no resistance. They've been mating with females right in the center of Djuma. Yes, I think it's safe to say that Djuma is now belongs to the Evokers. For now, the male coalitions come and go, but the prides stay the same. Now, that one missing adult was the one with the injury on her hip, because I definitely haven't seen her today. So it'd be interesting to see if that one that came in had the injury, but I can't tell because I haven't seen the right side of her. Well, the left side, but the side that I need to see. I'm sure I haven't seen her today. Oh, these dynamics are sufficient to keep us all guessing. I really don't 100% know exactly what's going on with the Nkuhumas. "11 is not too large a pride number to necessitate a split, I wouldn't have thought. When you start getting into the sort of number of lions being over 20, that's a different story. I don't know. Perhaps to keep the young male safe. I'm really not sure. It's all very confusing because although the sub-adult females, I would say, are probably going to be okay now, he's still at risk with a group of incoming new males. Very confusing. Where's that other lioness gone now? Oh, she's coming up from the right. She's going... Oops, sorry. going to come and join them. She just went to relieve herself. It looks so cool. I'm looking at it through the eyes of the View Pro and it looks so weird. Nope. Oh, sorry, I keep putting my head in the way. Let me duck down properly. I just keep trying to look at where they are in real life. A lot of you wondering if I know where the rest of the pride is. No, I really don't have a clue. I'm going to post a message on one of the multiple WhatsApp groups that helps to keep track of where the animals are and see if anybody has any answers for us. I'm really curious to know. Hopefully some other guides and some neighbouring properties have some answers, and I'll let you know tomorrow on the sunrise safari. It would really help if we could get that information and get a breakdown of who is where. Carlisle, a very good question. Carlisle wants to know what the difference is between a pride and a coalition. A very fundamental difference. A pride is made up of females and their offspring, including male offspring up to about the age of 3 years old. A coalition is a group of males. Now, males either establish territory on their own, which is very difficult to do, or they form up a group with relatives or with other males from the surrounding area, and they establish a territory that encompasses the territory of other pride members, or of several different prides, I mean. So males are not actually part of the pride itself, they are entirely separate to it. Something that people often get confused about because that's not the way we've been taught to think of lions and their social structure. Just by the way, if you're wondering about the lights in the background, ta-da, just popped up. It is because we're right outside the lodge. So imagine some of the guests are going to be having dinner at Galago tonight and listening to the sounds of the lions not too far away from them. Come on, ladies, show a little bit of affection for each other. It's my favourite thing about lions. Well, we can only guess how things are going to play out. At least we've got some of the Nkuhuma pride to keep us company. It has been a challenging but lovely sunset safari. We, of course, appreciate all of you. We appreciate your patience as well, as we've dealt with certain technical difficulties. We're very grateful for that. Tomorrow morning will bring a new start to the day, and who knows what will happen, or where we'll be, and what we'll be looking at. The only way to know is to join us in a few short hours. Have a wonderful day wherever you are, and we'll catch you then.